Welcome to Bitsquare. In this video I want to present the current software and go into all the details. On our webpage there are the link to the GitHub repository and there are the README files where is a description about the dependencies and the development setup and about how to use the reg test mod for local testing. That's very important because otherwise it's very boring to wait 10 minutes for the confirmations. You can set up your Bitcoin Qt client in a way that you can generate yourself blocks, and then testing is much easier and faster. And we use two external projects, Tom peer-to-peer, that's a distributed hash table, and Bitcoin J for all the Bitcoin related stuffs. And you need to check out these two projects and build them locally. Here is all the descriptions. Yeah, when you have checked out and built all, you have to start first the seed node. In the main package you find two main applications, seed node and Bitsquare. Seed node is just used at the moment locally for bootstrapping the peer-to-peer network. As soon as it's running, you can start Bitsquare. The best way to start it is with when you open on the run edit configurations and you create two different applications and give program arguments. It's important to pass here a program argument because you cannot start the same instance two times, because it would create an exception to when two instances want to access the same wallet. With the program arguments we separate the instances with a directory, so you can test with different instances, and you can test the trade process between Alice and Bob, and also it will be displayed in the title of the window, so you always know which instance, which peer is. Alice is in our case in the role of buying Bitcoin, and she will create the offer, and Bob will sell Bitcoin and he will take the offer. There would be a second use case where Alice will create a offer but she will sell Bitcoin, but that's not implemented at the moment. So when you test, take care that you really follow this use case. So Alice has started. We start Bob. And of course at the beginning now we are bootstrapping here the whole system. We don't have any offers, and so the order book is empty. The usability at the moment is completely heavy under development and there will be a lot of changes, so don't worry too much if some stuff is confusing at the moment. I will try to explain all the details. It's intended that the user, when he first starts, that he can see the order book, that he can play around, and just at the moment when he wants to start really a trade, or he wants to become an active, he wants to use the software actively, then he has to make a registration and has to define his preferences. There are also general preferences with the accepted languages. That's important in case of arbitration. When you are doing a trade with somebody else, it's important that both have at least one language what they are sharing, because when you make a deal with a Chinese trader and you don't speak Chinese, and then the arbitrator speaks only Chinese, then you will have some problems. So you can add here languages. Of course, the more languages the better, the more variety you have for trades. And here we have the accepted countries. That's the countries from the bank where the bank account is registered, and that's used on one hand as protection, because it's certain regions are known that there is more fraud going on. So when you are restricting your trading peers with some countries where you want to trade, then you can define your risk exposure. And on the other hand, it's used for that maybe you don't want to make international money transfer with very high fees, so you don't want to see all the offers from some countries where it's just too expensive to make trades. So you can define that you, when you're in Europe, that you maybe only want to accept some other European countries. Of course, there will be some better UI where you can select the whole region, like whole Europe or so. And yeah, you can add and remove the countries, and the offers which will be displayed for you, or which you are able to interact, will be filtered with these settings. So you won't get any offer where the trader has set up his language Chinese or Japanese when you have not added it here as accepted languages. The same with countries. And arbitrators, there will be, at the moment there's just one arbitrator, but later there will be minimum 5 or up to 10 or even more arbitrators, so you can select between different arbitrators. There will be extra video about the arbitration system, so I don't want to go into the details, but it's a very important part, and every trader has to select at least a few arbitrators, and also that will be used for the order matching. And the second important part what you have to set up is the bank account. So you select your bank account type, IBAN and BIC, and then the currency. When you have a bank account with multiple currencies, you can add another bank account with the same numbers and so on, and just add another currency. So there are no restrictions. You can add as many accounts as you like, basically. But it's very important that these bank accounts which are used for the registration are used later for the trade. You cannot use another bank account for the trade. That will not be accepted by the peer. You save the bank account, and yeah, that's it with the settings. Then you go to the funds. Maybe when you want to continue here, I mean, the usability is at the moment not really good. There should be a better way how the user is guided through the process, but now you have to deposit the funds. So you have to deposit 0.01 Bitcoin for the registration fee. The registration fee is also used as protection mechanism. It's still open how much it will be. Probably it will be a very low fee, but as we will encode the bank account data into the registration transaction. Yeah, you cannot create a Bitcoin transaction without any payment. So at least the dust Bitcoin network dust level has to be paid. The reason why the bank account is encoded to the registration is that as a protection that against sock puppets, so you can a fraudster, a scammer cannot create hundreds or thousands of accounts easily, because he need real bank accounts, and he cannot create so many bank accounts. The banks would get suspicious when he create too many new bank accounts. And when he make a scam like a bank chargeback or uses stolen bank account, then his account and all his data will be published in a fraud report, and during the trade process there will be a verification against this fraud report. So once the user is blacklisted in this fraud report, then he will not be able to make any trade anymore. The bank account data plus a secret will be hashed, and that will be added after a op return statement, and that will be published with the transaction. So that's in the blockchain, and during the trade the other user can verify that this is correct. Also, when in the trade process the users are revealing the bank account data to the other trader and also this secret, so the other trader can verify that the bank account which is intended to be used for the trade is the same one which was used for the registration. I do the same here on that side. I just put here something in, blah blah. And we also have to pay in the registration fee. If you're wondering where the fees will go, that's still in discussion, but it will probably go to either to other traders, or as a donation for development, or to the arbitrators. That's still open questions. And now everything is set up basically, so Alice can create an offer. First, the last step in this process, she has to publish the registration. So at this moment now the registration fee is paid, and we see it here in the transactions. She has received 0.01 Bitcoin and she has paid 0.01 Bitcoin. And now she can really create an offer. So until yet, that's just for the first time, and when that's set up, of course it's not needed to be repeated anymore. She can define how many Bitcoin she wants to buy, maybe 1 Bitcoin for 400 euro, and the minimum amount is 0.5 Bitcoin, for instance. She can define the range what she's accepting. So she says, yeah, between 0.5 and 1 Bitcoin I want to buy, and the price is 400 euro. She also can edit this field and say she wants to buy 500 euro and then have a different amount, but let's stick it with that. From that values, there is calculated how much is needed for this trade. When we have 2 Bitcoin, we see here is the value changing. There is a collateral included. The collateral is important as a protection, and as well it would be used in case of a dispute for the payment for the arbitrators. So when the arbitrators really are needed for conflict resolution, that's of course a lot of work for an arbitrator, and he has to get paid, and he will take the collateral from the dishonest user, and this money has to be included somewhere, because if Alice would not have paid anything in, the arbitrator cannot take the money from her. So, and that will be paid back in case when everything goes fine, like the normal, the happy pass, both traders will get paid back the collateral. It's just reserved money. And then there are offer fees and the Bitcoin transaction fees, so the network transaction fees. The network transaction fees is that part, and we have at the moment set up the offer fee to 0.001 Bitcoin. That's also open discussion, how much it will be and so on, and where it will go. Probably it will be used as passive arbitration fee. The arbitrators, they also should earn some money in case when they are not needed for dispute, because they are offering the service. They have to create a web page and make all the descriptions. They have to be available, so they have office hours and so on. And if there are very few disputes, it's not worth the effort for them. So it's important that they also earn money if there are no disputes. And that will be a very small amount, something like 10 euro cent or something like that. And that will be taken from this offer fee. And the offer fees are important because also as protection mechanism against spam and against market manipulation. Because if it would be completely free to create an offer or to take an offer, then users can cheat to manipulate the market with fake offers and so on. So it has to be at least a little bit expensive. If anybody is cheating, he will lose at least a little bit of money. And here are more trade details. So that's the trade details from Alice. She has set up SEPA as bank account type, as bank transfer type, and her currency is euro. When she is placing this offer, she will agree that anybody can take this offer who will fulfill the constraints defined here. The constraints are the price, or the amount between the minimum amount and the amount, the price, and the bank. And here the details what we see here. So only euro is accepted for this offer, and her bank account is Germany, so only other users will see her offer who has Germany in their accepted countries list, and she will only accept offers from people who has their bank account in Germany. Of course, she could have added more countries in the settings and more languages. We just have set up one here. And the same like for the countries is for the languages. She will only accept offers from people who has at least German in their languages. And now she has to pay in 0.0111 Bitcoin. That's the sum of the collateral and all the fees. And when she places the offer, this money will not be paid somewhere. It's just reserved for the case when somebody accepts the offer, because the offer acceptance will be executed automatically. When Alice is going to bed and she's not physically online, just her software has to be running, then the offer gets executed and she don't have to do anything anymore. To make this process possible, that it's executed automatically, the funds need to be available. So she has to pay in this to this trading wallet, and there it is reserved. When she is canceling her offer, she can pay her money back to herself. So it's not lost, of course. The only money which will be paid at this moment when she placed the offer is the offer fee, also the 0.001 Bitcoin that will be paid. And yeah, we have to pay now this 0.0111 Bitcoin. We don't need to wait for a confirmation because the risk for a double spend is very low, because it's just it's just this offer fee with what the double spender can win, and at the end he would not win anything because it would not lead to a successful trade. He just could use that for spam or for market manipulation, but there will be other protection mechanism to avoid such kind of attacks. So now everything is fine, the money is on the way and she can place the offer. And as we see here, the offer got published to the distributed hash table network, and Alice can also remove the offer. It's a little bit confusing that when she wants to buy Bitcoin, that the offer is in the sell section. But of course her offer is interested for the people who want to sell Bitcoin and not for the people who want to buy Bitcoin. So that's the reason why it's on the mirrored section. But basically it doesn't matter. She will also see it here in her open offer, so she can manage it here. And when the order book is more full, she will not find it so easily when there are hundreds or thousands of offers. So the way where she will manage her offers is on the orders. And yeah, so the offer is out. Bob is interested to sell Bitcoin. He also has to make first his registration complete, and he can now select between the minimum amount and the amount. So between 0.5 and 1 Bitcoin he can choose how much he wants to sell to Alice. And he also see here all the details, the collateral. The collateral will be derived from the arbitration, from the active arbitration fees. Also the arbitration system will be explained in a other video, so I don't want to go into the details. But this amount or this money will be used in case of active arbitration, so that is derived from the arbitrators. And as well, the fees, the take offer fee and the network fee, the Bitcoin network fee, and in total we see he has to pay 1.0111 Bitcoin, and the 1 is of course because he wants to sell 1 Bitcoin, and as soon as he takes the offer there will be created this multi-sig transaction where both traders are paying in their money, and the money is then locked until Bob later receives the fiat, and then the money goes to Alice. When we click here on the button here, it's missing some stuff from the usability and so on, so that we're not jumping direct, or that we are not get displayed here like on Alice's side the Bitcoin address and the balance that's missing at the moment. So we go here, that's the address which will be used, and we pay in 1,0111 Bitcoin. We don't need any confirmation as well, so we go back to the cell, and now the trading wallet is funded. And at this point, when he clicks take offer and pay, this multisig transaction will be created where his money will be locked to this multisig address. And in the multisig, the two traders and the arbitrators are the key holders. So in the normal process, when everything goes fine, at the end the two traders will sign and will sign this transaction and use that as input for the payout transaction. And in case of dispute, the arbitrator will decide with whom he will sign and to which he will make the payout. So everything done here. Here we have the same, the constraints, and as soon as he click the take offer, this transaction will be published to the network, and Alice will get a notification, and she will see it under pending trades that her offer was accepted. She cannot remove the offer anymore because now it's not in the order book anymore. Her task is now that she use the bank details and go to her online banking web page and make the fiat transaction to Bob. But to be sure that Bob is not doing a double spend, she has to wait at least for one confirmation. So we go back to our Bitcoin Qt client, to the debug window, and create one block that normally would take 10 minutes in the normal network. And of course she can wait for more confirmations if she wants to be more safe. And then after one confirmation, she can start to do the bank transfer. And as soon as she has transferred the money to Bob, she will click this button, which will inform Bob that the money is on the way, and she also will send Bob the payout transaction where she has already signed her part. Now Bob got the information that she has done the bank transfer. He has to check his bank account. Depending on which bank transfer type he uses, it might take a few hours up to a few days. And as soon as he has received the money, he will click this button. There will be a maximum limit for every bank transfer type, like SEPA is, I think, normally something like 3 days, and maybe the double of that time will be the maximum time span what this bank transfer might need. And there will also be some notification and some warnings. So when Bob has not received it after 3 days, there will be some warning that he will check again his bank account, and Alice as well gets some warning if everything that she returns to her bank online banking webpage and check if everything went fine. And after that 7 days, for instance, for SEPA, Bob could contact the arbitrator if he has not received the money until this time span, and then the arbitrator has to find out who of the two traders has acted unfair, or if it was some problems with the bank or something like that, and then he will decide who will, how he pay out the money. As soon as Bob has received the money, he will click this button, and with this button click, the payout transaction, what he has received already from Alice before, he will sign as well and will publish to the Bitcoin network, and then the Bitcoin which were locked at the beginning are paid out to Alice, and both get back their collateral. So we do it here, and we see now the summary. Bob has sold 1 Bitcoin and he has received 400 euro, and he has paid this offer, also the offer fees and the Bitcoin transaction fees, and he has got refunded the collateral of 0.01 Bitcoin. And here the transaction IDs. On Alice's side, she has bought 1 Bitcoin for 400 euro and got back the collateral and has paid those fees. And under the funds we can see it as well. In the transactions we see Alice has received 1,01 Bitcoin. The 01 is for the collateral, and Bob has paid 1,01 and then with some fees, and has received his collateral. So at this point, yeah, the trade has finished, everything is fine, and after one confirmation, Alice can be sure that the money has not been that there was no fraud and so on, and everything is finished.